Let's talk about lenses.
Lenses are the quickest way to define the aesthetic of your shot. But how do they work? How do you choose them? And how can we utilize them to make our stuff better? The first thing you need to understand is focal length. Here we sit in 35mm, a very popular lens used very often because look, it's a nice distance. Focal length is the distance between the lens's nodal point and the image sensor. But you do not need to know any of that. That's a load of bollocks. It is how zoomed in things are. So for instance, a long lens is very zoomed in. We're at 200mm here, so we've got a very narrow field of view. But if we push things out, we're at 70mm now, so we're slightly more zoomed out, but you'll notice that more is in focus. And that's because focal distance is tied to something called focal depth. Now we're at 16mm, which is so much wider than where we started at 200. And what you'll notice now is that almost everything you can see is in focus. And why is that? Well, I'll tell you. As the focal length of your lens changes, you'll tend to see that the longer your focal length is, the shallower your depth of field, which means the harsh fall-off to what's in and out of focus becomes harsher. Because of this, long lenses have these massively fuzzy backgrounds, which means they get used for stuff like dramatic shots. That's the very basics of focal length, and we're going to go further into depth of field in a different video, and then maybe we'll move to exposure, who knows. But before I go, one thing I didn't know until very late is that all a prime lens is a lens that you can't zoom in on. They're not special, that's all they are.